If you run a company or manage a team, hiring qualified people quickly can make or break your business. Imagine a position of need going unfilled for weeks or even months because you just can't seem to find the right candidate. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach the people you want faster. This makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Plus, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts. You only pay for results on your job post. Just in the last minute that I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Now that is fast. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. Listeners will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/BWN. Go to Indeed.com/BWN right now to support this podcast. Indeed.com/BWN. Terms and conditions apply.
What's up, guys? It's three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist, Josh Cribbs. I want to welcome you to the Mac Sports Connection podcast, where Alex hosts all things Mac, all things football, all things sports, right here, Mac Sports Connection, baby. The Mid-American Conference best, bringing it only the greats, Mac, to everyone.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Max Sports Connection podcast, part of the Varsity Podcast Network, presented by Lairfield. I'm your host, Alex. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Graham. Graham, welcome back.
Yeah, excited to be back. We've been gone for a couple of weeks, and while we've been gone, there's been quite an exciting Max slate. So, yeah, excited to talk about it.
Lots of things happening in the conference, lots of news, updates. And that's what today's going to be, guys. It's going to be a lot of updates, a lot of things happening around the league, surrounding the league. And Graham, what do you say we just get right into it? We've got plenty to talk about. Let's start with some baseball and softball.
Heck yeah. Let's start with on the softball side of things. We'll just do a quick rundown of the standings here. At the bottom of the standings, Kent State 2-17 in conference play, 9-34 overall. Western Michigan next, 5-14 in conference, 11-33 overall. Bowling Green 7-14 in the conference, 15-30 overall. Buffalo 7-12 in the conference, 12-28 overall. Toledo 7-12 in the conference, 14-26 overall. Northern Illinois 11-9 in the conference, 17-23 overall. Then we get into our top five here. Akron 5th, 10-7 in the conference, 23-19 overall. Miami 4th, 15-7 in the conference, 26-22 overall. Ball State fallen from where we had them given our last update. 3rd in the conference, 13-5 in conference play, and 28-11 overall. Central Michigan 2nd, 15-5 in the conference, 23-19 overall. And at the top of the conference, the Ohio Bobcats are 14-4 in conference play and 31-12 overall. They're on a 5-game win streak. 10-3 at home is pretty good. And really, I mean that 31-12 overall, it speaks to it. 10-3 at home, 9-5 away, 12-4 on neutral sites, because we know these Midwestern schools play a lot of early season games at neutral sites. Softball has changed since we last updated, but not that much. We were talking about Ball State was at the top of the conference on our last update, but they're still sitting third, spitting distance from first place. Miami still hanging in there at 15-7 in conference play. And then, of course, Ohio and Central Michigan in those top two spots.
Well, and I think it's interesting when I pull up the some of these schedules here. We've only got 3 more series left for these softball teams in terms of conference play before we get into the MAC tournament. They're in Akron, so it should be exciting. I'm looking at this Ohio schedule right now. they don't have anything locked up. They officially, in the conference, they officially have 8 more games. So they could lose all 8 and miss this MAC tournament. Probably not going to happen, but they very easily could lose all 8 and somehow not make it to the MAC tournament. But their schedule, they don't have it easy. The Bobcats are at Central Michigan for 3 games. Then they host Ball State for 2 games. And then they wrap up the season at Western Michigan. But if you're Ohio right now, you're playing some great softball, but you've got a big hurdle to cross in second and third place teams to keep your hopes alive for the number 1 seed in the softball tournament.
And they don't even get a break in the midweek. As we're recording this, they're hosting Ohio State tonight.
Yeah.
So that's not a lot of breathing room for the Ohio Bobcats, but doing really well in the conference and really well overall. So I have no doubt that they'll win enough games to end up in at least in the tournament. I suspect that they will end up with the top seed. This is kind of how the season's developed, and they looked, even though they weren't in that first place spot the last time we did our updates. It was just because of their conference record. They hadn't played that many conference games yet, and you look at their record outside the conference. They've been doing very well there as too. So I don't think Ohio's going to have any problem getting into the conference tournament.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Again, this team has just looked excellent so far this year, and yeah, Ohio's done a really, really nice job. What I'm really interested in when it comes to the softball standings is it is a jumbled mess. Right now, everybody except Kent State technically alive for a spot in Akron for this tournament. Kent State just too far out of it, again, sitting at 2-17, 9-34 overall in the conference. A little bit too far back, but Western Michigan, they're 5-14, Bowling Green 7-14. They've got plenty of opportunities to sneak in and get a bid. It's the top 6 who go to Akron, and Northern Illinois is in the 6th spot at 11-9. Fortunes could change, and I'm looking at this Northern Illinois schedule right now. They don't have too easy of a path. It's not. I don't want to say it's too difficult, but they've got Akron and Western Michigan in back-to-back series, and then they're at Toledo to wrap up the season. All 4 of these teams that I just mentioned, Akron, Northern Illinois, Toledo, and Western, alive for spots in Avon, or in Akron. So it very much could be a really, really fun and exciting end of the season to see who sneaks into Akron, who locks up their bid early.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Western not quite in the same bucket as Akron. That they only have 7 conference games left. So it's going to take probably a win in every single one of those conference games in order to make the tournament. That would put them at 12-14 overall. And I think they would just sneak in. Western on a bit of a skid right now, losing their last 7 in a row. So I mathematically not eliminated, but in my mind, certainly eliminated.
Never say never.
I didn't say never. In any case, let's talk about some of these softball players of the week we've missed. For the week of April 8th, player of the week, Abby Nagel from first baseman from Buffalo. She had a stellar week at the dish. She hit .588 in the week. She was 10 for 17, finished with 6 singles, 2 doubles, and a pair of home runs, slugging 1.059, and crossed the plate 9 times. So 9 runs, 7 RBIs, and really just a heck of a week for Abby Nagel. As far as pitchers of the week go, we had that same week, April 8th. This is Macy Walters, a sophomore right-handed pitcher from Akron. She picked up 3 wins for the Zips in that week through 6 innings in the opener against BG, where she surrendered only 2 runs, and she threw 1.1 innings in the second game against BG in the 7-6 win. So she did a great job there. Against Ohio, she completed 7 innings. So that's a complete game in softball, and no earned runs allowed. So 3 wins, 3 games pitched on the week for Macy Walters, and a heck of a job there. Co-pitcher of the week, again, April 8th, Lily Castle, right-handed pitcher from Northern Illinois, and she has had a heck of a season. In her 2 starts that week, she pitched 2 complete games and recorded 2 wins. So, anytime you can pitch a complete game is a way to go. And to get both of those as wins, equally impressive, or if not more impressive. That's in the week of April 15th, Player of the Week, Danielle Stewart, who's a utility player for Northern Illinois. She's one of the top hitters for the Huskies. She recorded 7 hits the week of April 15th, 2 doubles, including 1 double in the Husky season best, 5 doubles on April 12th. So the Northern Illinois Huskies hit 5 doubles in that game on April 12th. And Danielle Stewart contributed 1 of them. She also contributed 2 of the RBIs in that record-breaking game for NIU, as she went 3 for 3 at the plate. So that's 4 straight games at the time, 4 straight games with a hit for Danielle Stewart. Pitcher of that week, Morgan Beckman, is a freshman, right-handed pitcher at Bowling Green. She did a tremendous job. She had an ERA of 0.00, which I don't know if you know, that's about as good as you can get.
I've heard that's pretty good.
Opponent batting average just .038. That's a 38 batting average against. She pitched in all 3 of BG's games that week. I got the final 2 outs on in the Friday game versus Western Michigan, both via strikeout, and then threw her first complete game shutout of her young collegiate career. So great job for Morgan Beckham as well.
Wow. Just some great players all around. So I wanted to highlight one game from those 2 weeks, of course. And both of them, funny enough, involve Buffalo. Seems like Buffalo has a knack for being involved in record-breaking or history-making games. That the week of the 8th, we had Northern Illinois versus Buffalo. It was actually on 4/12 officially. Northern Illinois versus Buffalo. Northern Illinois won 20-2. Just an absolute battering of the Bulls. And I don't think they liked that too much, because they turned around the following week and did something similar to Toledo. But this was a high-scoring affair for both programs. And we could talk about the Buffalo Northern Illinois game one really quick first before we get into Toledo Buffalo. Northern Illinois, it seemed like they just wanted to try to have one more run than the inning was titled. They won this game in 5 innings. First inning they had 2 runs. Second inning they had 3 runs. They could have flipped the third and the fourth innings, but third inning they had 5 runs. Fourth inning they had 4 runs. Fifth inning they had 6 runs. Didn't get the shutout, but a 20-2 just mashing. They had 19 hits, 20 runs, no errors. Buffalo limited to just 5 hits, 1 error, 2 runs on the day. Game took an hour and 29 minutes there in Buffalo. And yeah, I mean, it was over before anybody knew what was going on. I mean, this game was decided in the 3rd inning, and Northern Illinois wasn't happy with that. They're like, yeah, let's keep pouring this on. Let's run up this score a little bit. Northern Illinois did take that series over Buffalo that weekend, but what can you say? What a great series for Northern Illinois, who also fighting for a spot in Akron here in a couple weeks.
That's right. And, that's that game that we talked about. Danielle Stewart goes 3 for 3 for Northern Illinois in that game.
Yeah, she was stellar, and she's been stellar all year. I mean, she's a great player for the Huskies and has done a really, really excellent job at the plate, and then obviously just being recognized by the conference. But now we fast forward a week. the game of the week, I think, was Toledo at Buffalo. Again, another record-setting kind of high-scoring affair. 35 runs, Graham, in this game.
Yeah,
Toledo,
I mean this is a football score.
Right. No, it really is. In fact, Toledo finding themselves on the losing end by a touchdown, 21-14. Buffalo scored 21 runs on 18 hits, 2 errors. Toledo had 14 runs on 12 hits, 1 error. Buffalo was up 11-1 after the first inning, 13-1 after the second inning, and then Toledo charged back in the third inning. They said, "Hey, wait a minute, we're not done yet." They dropped 7 runs in the top of the third inning before Buffalo responded with 3 of their own. Toledo found 6 more runs in the 5th and 6th innings. Couldn't get anything going in the 7th as Buffalo closed out the victory. This game was 3 hours and 51 minutes long. That is an insanely long game for softball.
Yeah, it absolutely is. That's and really an incredible game. I mean, if you get a chance to pull up this box score, you can see all of the scoring plays, and it's about the full screen on my computer looking at these scoring plays going down here. 35 runs scored total. This is another game helped Abby Nagel. We talked about win the player of the week. Another hitting first baseman. She went 4 for 5 on the day with 7 RBIs and a walk. So not bad for Abby Nagel for the Buffalo Bulls, and really just an incredible game all around for the hitters anyway.
Pitchers not so much. It's and another player that I think is worth mentioning here too, Isabella Smithson. She was 3 for 3 for Buffalo. Had a great day. Emily Gorman. Just you could go down this list. I'm trying to look. It looks like very few players who had an at bat didn't have at least one hit. I think just Sydney Griffith from Toledo and Samantha Bolding from Toledo didn't record a hit, and then Miranda Zip from Buffalo, and that's it. Everybody else recorded at least one hit on the day. Yeah,
and that's really great hitting all around. Miranda Zip came in late in the game, as a pinch hitter, and also was able to record a sacrifice fly. So she ended up with an RBI. So this is not to say that Miranda Zip didn't contribute in this victory. Really just overall a great game, especially by the Buffalo Bulls.
For sure. We've got some baseball talk, Graham. I know baseball it's crazy how things are heating up in the Mid-American Conference. And, I'll run down these baseball standings. Not surprised. So we'll start at the bottom, I guess. At the bottom, we've got the Ohio Bobcats sitting at 4-14, 9-29 overall. They are joined by Northern Illinois, also 4-14, but they are 14-24 overall. Akron, 6-15, 13-26 overall. Western Michigan, again, you and I have talked about this one ad nauseum, how surprised we are at where Western is. They're sitting at 6-12, 10-26 overall. Central Michigan, the Chippewas, they're sitting at 8-10, 16-24 overall. Toledo, currently sitting in the 6th spot of the MAC tournament. They're sitting at 10-11, 16-23 overall. Whereas Eastern Michigan, and you called this at the beginning of the year, Eastern Michigan would have a pretty solid year. They're getting it done so far, 9-9 in conference play, 16-18 overall. And now we get into the plus 500s, the top 4 of the MAC. Bowling Green sitting at 13-8, 25-13 overall. Miami, they're 3rd at 16-5, 21-18 overall. Kent State, they're on a 4-game win streak right now, the longest active win streak in baseball for the MAC right now. They're sitting at 14-4, 25-13, and Ball State alone at the top. 1 is the loneliest number, but Ball State's not upset with it. 15-3, 29-12 overall in the Mid-American Conference.
Yeah, and this is kind of where we expected the standings to end up. The exception to that being Miami. We expected Miami to be good. We didn't expect them to be third in the conference good. So Miami is a bit of a surprise, but everybody else we had here, we expected Ball State to be at the top of the conference. We expected Kent State to be at the top of the conference. I think you mentioned we expected Western to be higher. We also expected Central to be higher. And so both of those teams may be underperforming this season, but not surprised to see the Cardinals at the top of the conference. Happy to see Kent State go on, continue their run. We talked last time about how they had started to go on a run. They've continued their run, especially within the conference, and sitting at second place right now. I think that'll be exciting. What's interesting here is that Bowling Green sitting in fourth place, not doing quite so well this year as last year. But if we look at some of the scores in the conference, we can see Bowling Green is the kind of team who can put on a ton of runs, especially on Friday nights. They tend to have their best pitching on Friday nights, and they also put up a ton of runs. And they're the kind of team who can beat anybody on a given day. So maybe not the most consistent team in the conference, but I would be. I think I would be scared to face these Falcons when it comes to the tournament at the end of the year.
It's really funny that you bring up this Falcons team. I kind of wanted to highlight this Bowling Green series and between Bowling Green and Ball State. I know you and I've kind of talked about the softball and some of the high scoring affairs that we saw over there, but Bowling Green, Ball State combined for 79 runs last week. Last week.
Yeah, last weekend. Yeah.
79 runs over a 3-game series. Bowling Green had 36 of those themselves. Ball State had 43 of them. What an insane run. Ball State won the series 2-1. The low scoring affair was a 6-4 game. Everything else was 23-18, 16-12. These bats, man, what's going on in the MAC?
Well, we knew Bowling Green was a hitting team. What's not so surprising if you've been following Ball State. But what is great news for the Ball State Cardinals is that they also have bats. I think every year we expect Ball State to have the pitching, and they certainly do. Don't get me wrong, Ball State has good pitching. But they don't always have the bats to back it up. This year, Ball State definitely has those bats. We've seen them in high-scoring affairs throughout the season. We've seen them win in pitchers' duels. We've seen them win in high-scoring games. And I think Ball State is the real deal. I think that's the takeaway here is that this Ball State team is the real deal. Bowling Green has yet to prove that they have the pitching and the defense advantage. But they certainly still have the bats that we've come to expect of them over the past 2 years.
Yeah, I'm looking at that box score from the 23-18 game. Bowling Green jumped out early. I mean, they just jumped on Ball State. But as you look at this box score, it was 6 runs, 5 runs, 2 runs, 3 runs. Then they only scored 2 runs over the last 5 innings. This Ball State was pretty consistent and then just poured it on in the top of the 9th. Ball State consistent 2 or 3 runs almost every single inning. The only scoreless was the 6th. But like you mentioned, Bowling Green, they faded a little bit. They faded towards the end of that game, and they couldn't get it done. But I don't think any coach is ever going to be upset when you drop 18 runs in a ball game. Like, yeah, you'd like to have 24 to get the win, but I don't think you're too upset when you get 18 runs in a ball game.
It's hard to blame the hitters when you score 18. Now, Bowling Green has also had its struggles on defense, not just on the mound. So this is not to say that it's Bowling Green's pitching that is at fault. But anytime your opponent scores more than 20 runs, it's going to be hard to win those games. Speaking of scoring more than 20 runs, last Tuesday we had Northern Illinois taking on Northwestern. and taken down a Big Ten opponent in 7 innings. Remember that's during the regular season, baseball still has a mercy rule, and Northern Illinois takes down their in-state rival in Northwestern 27-11 in only 7 innings. So who knows? The bleeding could have continued and gotten even worse had that game gone a full 9. But Northern Illinois, team who's not doing that great in the MAC, but who has at least that impressive midweek victory over a Big Ten opponent. Speaking of victories over Big Ten opponents, that's going back a couple of weeks, we had a Kent State victory over Ohio State. Now, I know we talk about some of these midweek victories don't really count because the big opponents are saving their studs for their weekend series. But I'll tell you what, we'll take any victory over the Big Ten we can get. Kent State 8, Ohio State 3. That's in Columbus. Kent State travels down and gets the victory. It's a big deal for the Flashes. Knowing that they can win big games is a big deal. And I believe we mentioned this last time, but on that same day, it was Wednesday, April 9th, Central Michigan takes down Michigan State. So a couple of Big Ten victories in the same day, and the MAC looking pretty good against the Big Ten so far this year.
Well, I got to tell you, I have been impressed with the Mid-American Conference. Against the Big Ten, a conference who, yes, we know the Northern conferences tend to struggle in baseball to start the year, but you've got to tip your hat to what the MAC is doing against the Big Ten this year. I haven't sat down and done the numbers yet. I'll probably try to do that here before we record next week, but I would not be surprised to say the MAC might be hovering around 500 against the Big Ten this year. I know that they've played some non-conference preseason. Western Michigan got wins over Michigan State. You just talked about Central Michigan with their win, Northern Illinois with their win, Kent State. I would not be surprised if the MAC was hovering at or maybe just a pinch below 500 against the Big Ten this year.
Yeah, that's the MAC has looked great against the Big Ten. Let's run down some of these players of the week. A couple of weeks ago, we had week 8. So this is from the week of April 7th. Players of the week. We had Luke Matthews from Kent State. In the preceding week, he hit 588 on the week. That's 10 hits, 7 runs, 6 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, and a 706 slug. That's pretty good for anybody. Love to see that from Kent State infielder Luke Matthews. Pitchers of the week. We had co-pitchers of the week that week. Jack Kelly from Akron. He helped the Zips claim their first MAC series victory with an 8-inning performance. So not quite a complete game, but almost. He allowed no runs in his 8 innings of work. Reese Gaber was also the co-pitcher of the week that week from Western Michigan. He tossed 6 innings of Western Michigan's combined no-hitter against the Citadel that week. Gaber raced a few walks with a pair of pickoffs and induced a double play to limit the visitors' scoring chances. Overall, he compiled a season-high 7 strikeouts to help them to their 17th no-hitter in program history and their first since 1997. The following week, we had Hayden Jatzik, which I'm sure is not how he pronounces his name, but it's how I do, the Kent State infielder. He also had a hot bat. This is that week, victory over Ohio State. He went 2 for 4 at the plate with 3 runs, 3 RBIs. He opened up the scoring with the 2-run homer in the top of the first inning. Later, he added another double with an RBI double in the 3rd inning. We also had a pitcher of the week for that week, Drew Beckner from Eastern Michigan. Drew pitched a gem of a start against the Toledo Rockets on April 11th. He tied his NCAA Division I career high with 8 strikeouts for the 3rd time this season and his 2nd game consecutively. So 2 games in a row with 8 strikeouts. He didn't allow an earned run, pitched 6.2 innings, held opposing batters to a 174 average. His 8 strikeouts rank as the 2nd most in a game in the MAC and the most strikeouts from a single pitcher over that weekend. So just a heck of a weekend and a heck of a week. This week, wow, these came out just today. hot off the presses. Gunnar Antillon, sure, that's how we're pronouncing names here, from Bowling Green, is the MAC player of the week this week. He was red hot at the plate. We're going to say red hot at the plate at least 1,000 more times. He batted .700 on the week, only struck out once, led the Falcons with 14 hits, 12 RBIs, and had 25 total bases over 4 games to notch a 1.250 slug. And that's impressive. Anytime you can 1 your slug, we're talking about big hitting that week. Co-pitchers of the week this week, Cooper Katsky from Miami, a guy who we've been talking about all year and who we talked about on our preseason preview, took them out in the first inning for the Red Hawks on Thursday and never left, pitching a complete game with 115 pitches in 9 innings. He held the Chippewas to just 1 run and 5 hits while striking out 5. He walked just 1 batter and was credited with the 4-1 win for the Miami Red Hawks. So that's a heck of a game. Tyler Kappa, also pitcher of the week from Eastern Michigan. He was a force in the Eagles' 9-7 series clinching victory over the Albany Great Danes. He got the start, went 6 innings, allowed just 1 hit, and that was just a single. No runs, struck out a max single game high 11 batters and walked just 2. He held batters to only a 53 average. That's not a typo there. That's an 0.53 average. Posted a 0.5 whip, which I don't know if you know about whip, but that's 0.5 is about as impressive as you get. Additionally, Kappa's strikeout total marked a NCAA Division I career high for him. He did not allow a run for the first time in his D1 career and tied a D1 career long outing with 6 innings pitched and allowed a Division I career low 1 hit. So a heck of a game for Tyler Kappa.
Yeah, you can't be upset with any of those guys, and obviously deserving of player of the week, either as a pitcher or as a non-pitcher. These guys have really... they showed what they were capable of, so hats off to all of them. Graham, I just wanted to make sure, before we move on, that you were aware of the Varsity app from Lairfield.
Oh, it's my favorite app.
Is it? That's good to know, because I love it.
It's Varsity and then mozzarella sticks.
You're close. For those who don't know, though, as close as Graham is, Varsity app is available from Lairfield. With the Varsity app, you can actually listen to all your favorite Division I college teams, hear the calls from the voices from across any conference. You're a Big Ten fan, MAC fan, whatever you are. You can listen to all these voices make these calls. You can sign up, save your favorite schools, sports, and more for easy access. In fact, not just the calls, but you'll be able to find amazing podcasts throughout the Varsity Podcast Network, including fan favorites, the #1 MAC podcast on the market, yours truly, the MAC Sports Connection, the Group of Five Guys podcast, who do a great job covering, you've heard it, the Group of Five, and the Sickos Committee podcast, and many, many more apps available through this network. Make sure you guys download the Varsity app today. It's free on the Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and you can start listening to the calls and podcasts that will bring all of your teams to life. Graham, we have coaching changes in the MAC.
Yes, we do.
And coaching changes, and I'm just going to say this, they always make me sad. But I think that's life, that's reality in a mid-major conference. This one, I am particularly happy for this individual, but I'm sad to see her go. And of course, unless you've had your head in the sand, Becky Burke, who just won the WNIT at Buffalo, is taking the head coaching job at Arizona. Had a great chance to text her after the news dropped. She is very, very appreciative of the support from us, but the support from the fans, not just at Buffalo, but the MAC. Like, people have come to really respect her as a coach, and for good reason. I pulled up some numbers to look at what she's done. Would you believe it if I told you she's the first 30-win coach at Buffalo?
Yes.
Okay, well, good. You should believe it, because she is, in fact, the first 30-win coach at Buffalo, going 30-7 this last year. In fact, that is the lowest loss total since 2017-2018, when Buffalo went all the way to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament, And prior to that, that's one of their lowest loss totals dating back to 1996, 1997. So this is, I mean, Becky Burke, we all know she was there for 3 years, took over the program from Felicia Jack, who went to Syracuse, and has done a great job at Syracuse over the last couple of years, has made the NCAA tournament a couple of times. But Becky Burke came in from USC Upstate, has done an incredible job. They went 12-16 her first year after a pretty empty cupboard. But then all she's done is just find a way to win. She has over 70 wins in program history, and a WNIT championship in 3 years. So hats off to Becky Burke. I know, Graham, you and I have had a chance to have lunch with her, spend time with her in Buffalo. I don't think I can say enough about how incredible she is.
Yeah, I think we just one of those coaches in the MAC that you're right. It is sad when we see coaching changes, and the big reason for that is that we do develop these relationships with coaches. Something that is pretty unique at the in the smaller conferences like the MAC is having access to these coaches. And Becky Burke, a great person and obviously a great coach. Someone we talked about a few years ago when she first came into Buffalo as someone we had picked to be a star. And she has been just a star coach for the Buffalo Bulls, both in the coaching aspect, but as well as the community building part of being a coach, of really turning the Bulls into a place where players can develop and really turn into to great basketball players. And no surprise here that she took the Bulls to win the WNIT, and certainly Arizona is getting a great coach out of her. We're always sad to see our favorite coaches leave the MAC, but never upset that these coaches get opportunities at some of the larger conferences who have a little more money to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, hats off to Becky Burke, but they did find her replacement pretty quickly. And they picked a girl who played for them back from 2010 to 2015. Buffalo fans, you may know her, Kristen Sharkey, who followed Felicia Jack to Syracuse, was an assistant coach. There was actually the assistant head coach at Syracuse prior to taking this Buffalo job. Again, she played for UB from 2010 to 2015. You guys know her. She's a hometown gal. She knows Buffalo. She's known as a great recruiter. I really like this hire. You got the right person in. If you're Buffalo trying to continue to build off of what you've done, you got the right person in who knows the program, who knows the people around the program, who knows the Buffalo area. I think this is the exact hire you make when you're trying to continue success after seeing a coach depart.
Well, she has experience in Buffalo. She's was a great player for the Bulls, and certainly now has experience coaching. Being the assistant head coach in Syracuse, and it's a continuation. This Buffalo Bulls program has had excellent coaches, and I think we'll continue to have excellent coaches. Well, we'll see what Kristen Sharkey can do with the Bulls, but I have no doubt that they will continue to be a force within the conference.
I agree. We have another coaching change to kind of discuss. Obviously, we know Rob Senderoff will be staying at Kent State. That was made official. Kent State with a commitment to increase NIL and to give Rob Senderoff more opportunities to win. Rob Senderoff, by the way, has no losing seasons in the Mid-American Conference. So, that's a good coach you get to keep. But Kent State is losing their football coach. Kenny Burns has been officially let go after their investigation had been launched. Mark Carney will serve as the coach this fall. I know there's a lot of speculation about how long he would serve as interim coach. Based off of the report that I got from the university and that has come out, he is going to be serving as coach through the fall, and it sounds like an opportunity to kind of win that head coaching job, depending on what the team can do. 1-23 the last 2 years under Kenny Burns, and Yeah, it's if we're going to be very honest about this, it's not pretty why Kenny Burns was let go.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about some of the at the time rumors surrounding it, but what seemed to be the heart of the matter was that there was some financial impropriety going on. And we had reported that. It surprised me. Did you read the ESPN article following this regarding Kenny Burns's firing? It's awful.
I'll be honest, I read the Yahoo article. That one was a lot more comprehensive.
Yeah, so every other article I saw actually covered the event. What the ESPN article didn't cover anything. It I think in a rush to be the first to share the news of Kenny Burns' firing, they had an article that came out and said Kenny Burns was fired. Heavily implied it was due to his 1-23 record, which fair, and spent a lot of time focusing on Kenny Burns' countersuit regarding being fired for without cause, and Burns responding that he had always supported the players, and his lawyer saying that he had raised the GPA for the team. The only thing they gave the university was Kent State, rather than telling us the reason that Burns was fired, referred us to, and they put this in scare quotes, earlier reports. And and they acted like that the university was doing them a disservice by not offering them a quote. But the fact of the matter is, it took me 3 seconds of Googling for our for our original episode. This is weeks before it becomes official. It took me 3 seconds of Googling to find plenty of interviews and plenty of news stories in which the university had already talked about what was going on with Kenny Burns. So the fact that apparently ESPN doesn't know how to use Google is surprising to me. But the rest of these articles way better. Skip the ESPN article. Go somewhere else. You'll see Kenny Burns in a lot of financial trouble. We talked about some gambling debts. Talked about potential credit card debt, credit card fraud, maybe. But the biggest issue here that's come out recently is that Kenny Burns took over $100,000 in loans from a booster who was also a school vendor. So there's some implication there that these loans were given as an incentive to continue that vending relationship with the university. So it is not great.
I want to say hats off to the Akron Beacon Journal for their coverage of this. Their article was one of the better ones out there. And obviously, you being in Akron, you have a lot closer, a lot more immediate access than maybe somebody at ESPN. But I want to give the Akron Beacon Journal a lot of credit for how they reported it and how they addressed this. They did a great job, so they deserve a lot of credit for what we got to learn as people. As you mentioned, $100,000 from loans from a booster who's also a school vendor. I think the Akron Beacon Journal mentioned something about he would take recruits to that restaurant as well. Like there's a lot of layers, and I don't want to dive too much into the problems with Kenny Burns. I will say this: my couple of interactions I've had with him, very, very nice guy, very, very easy to talk to. I had great conversations with him. And I think the money issues aside, I do genuinely believe he wanted to succeed at Kent State based off of my conversations with him. He was very much, I'm here for the players. I want to win. It's a process, but we're going to find a way to do it.
I think it's hard to say that he wanted to win at Kent State when we have this ongoing issue here, where these financial issues surely split his focus. And it seems like he was trying to find more and more creative and less ethical ways to solve his financial woes. And if that's the case, I have a hard time believing that Burns's attention was adequately focused on Golden Flash victories. I think as evidenced by 1-23. This is a Flash team who prior to Kenny Burns had just been in the MAC championship. So the argument that he had to take a team and he had to change it in some way, it's frankly unfounded. That's he didn't succeed as a coach. He didn't succeed ethically. The argument that the GPA of the players improved rings hollow to me, because it's not enough. That the Kent State didn't hire him as a tutor, and not to say that academic outcomes are not important. Academic outcomes are certainly important, but I think for me the biggest part of being a coach is serving as that example to your players, and you are held to a higher ethical standard. And so to get in trouble for an ethics violation, I think spits in the face of any perceived academic success.
No, and that is completely valid. I completely understand where you're coming from. And I respect the opinion. I really do. I think that, you mentioned the ethics. The lawyers who investigated did conclude Ohio Ethics Commission would find a receipt of over $100,000 in personal checks from a university vendor, loans paid off in a series of post-dated checks, while the recipient is simultaneously being sued for defaulting on a personal credit card, violates applicable ethics laws. So I think, it creates that image of impropriety, right? And that's what the Beacon Journal mentioned as well. But then there were also other things, other accusations and allegations of on-the-job drinking, treatment of staff, as we mentioned, the gambling. But those were not part of the scope of the investigation. And it does show that the investigation did not uncover evidence of such gambling-related arrangement between Burns or this vendor, or any improper or excessive gambling by Coach Burns. Again, whatever. I know that people are going to have their opinions. People have already dug their heels in the trenches. I hate it for Kent State. Hopefully this next regime will be better with trying to resurrect Kent State football, a program who historically has not been great, but has had moments of greatness. So, I certainly wish Kent State the best going forward. It does break my heart to see another coaching change. This one, especially in a situation like this, but again, good luck to Kent State as they move on. It is Mark Carney serving as the head coach this fall. One of the coordinators, the offensive coordinator for Kenny Burns last year. He's going to be stepping up to serve as the head coach in 2025.
And it sounds like they're going to continue their head coaching search following the 2025 season. But what an opportunity for Mark Carney. You come in, you can show that you can coach this football team. And certainly expectations are at an all-time low. Mm-hmm. Following 2 seasons of 1-23. Pretty much any win for Mark Carney will be seen as an impressive turnaround. So a great opportunity for him to prove he can be Kent State's next head coach. We've gone pretty long today, Alex. I think we got to hit this news, but I think we got to run through it pretty quick.
That's fine. We'll just start here. Buffalo, going back to Buffalo, they picked up the MAC tennis tournament title. They beat Western Michigan in the title matches 4-2, and they'll move on to the NCAA tournament. So hats off to them. Women's golf championship is going on right now as we're recording. Kent State, going back to Kent State, looking for their 26th consecutive MAC tournament championship. And what's impressive with this is they've never lost the MAC tournament. That since its inception, the trophy just goes back to Kent State. So really, they should probably just name this the Kent State Tournament Championship Trophy, because at some point it's not going anywhere else.
That's right. The Kent State MAC Golf Tournament. It seems like we're only talking about Kent State, Western Michigan, and Buffalo in this episode, but here we are again. Western Michigan takes home the hockey national championship. Not necessarily a MAC sport, but certainly a MAC school in Western Michigan. And always great to see these smaller schools take home the hardware. We see it far more often in hockey than in other sports, but great to see Western Michigan take that home. Interesting fact from the ESPN article on this. This is the teams from the state of Michigan have gone 3 for 3 when the hockey championship is in St. Louis. So that's Western Michigan this year, Michigan State in 2007, and Michigan Tech, a school you may not have heard of, a school that is only Division I in hockey. They're Division II in every other sport. Took home the championship in 1975. This is the first national championship in hockey for Western Michigan. So just a great time there. Owen Michaels, the star of the Western Michigan hockey team, he had a great season and especially a great Frozen Four.
Yeah, what an impressive year. This was their first Frozen Four, obviously first championship. They won their first NCHC conference championship, tournament, and regular season this year. A lot of firsts for the Broncos this year. But they've been in the NCAA tournament the last 4 years and finally broke through. And I did read a number somewhere else, so I'm not going to try to quote it right now because I can't find it. But Western Michigan was spending on like NIL and all that way less than every other program in the tournament. Western Michigan, obviously, we all know they are a big hockey school, but it sounds like they spent a lot less by a couple million than Penn State, than Boston University. Like they just spent way less than these other programs. So yeah, hats off to Western Michigan bringing a title back to Kalamazoo. And a fun fact for you guys who know that I work at Heidelberg University, John Buchagras was the man on the call for that championship. Buchagras, a Heidelberg College graduate. So fun little tie in to where I work as well.
There you go. Got to get that Heidelberg shout out in there.
Go Berg.
I think that's it for us this week. Plenty of MAC action still going on, even as we approach the end of the sporting year coming up here. Plenty of more baseball left, plenty of softball left, even as these spring sports are getting wrapped up.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate all the love, support, everything you guys do to kind of prop us up. We wouldn't be here without you guys. So just wanted to say thank you. Make sure you guys check out this episode, share it out, get it out to other MAC fans. Anybody you know who might love the MAC, send them our way. We'd love to educate them and maybe learn something too. So that's going to do it for us today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next week.